One morning, I woke up and I hear my mum screaming, and my dad was arguing with my mum, right? And this was a pretty regular occurrence. So I try to toss my head on the other side of the bed and go back to sleep, but it kept on going, and it kept on getting worse and worse and worse. But this time, it kept on getting worse to the point where it just became a little bit. I got a little bit scared this time, because usually it stops, it dies down, but this time it kept on getting worse and worse and worse. I hear my dad calling my mom these horrible, horrible things, right? And I start to get a little bit angry myself. Why is my dad calling my mom those words? Why is he saying that? Why is he saying that stuff to her? And rightfully so, I should have, gotten a little emotional at that, because they were pretty bad things to say. And I was around, let's say 15, 16 years old back here. So around 4 or 5 years ago. And I'm still just in my room waiting for it to die down. But it never did. And it kept on getting worse, and as soon as I hear my dad say this one thing to my mom, I'm not going to say what he said, but it was pretty bad. And I just snap, right? I'm still in my room, but I snap. And I scream from the top of my lungs. I said, I said, oi. I literally said, oi, screaming from the top of my lungs as loud as I possibly could. Because of how angry I got at my dad. And I was in my room, right? And they were in the kitchen, by the way. And they heard me. But keep in mind, bro, I'm a pretty quiet kid, right? My parents perceive me as a pretty quiet kid. And when they heard that, they were pretty shocked, to say the least. And so I quickly storm out of my room and I go and confront my dad. And he tells me, go back to your room. Why the hell did you just scream like that? This isn't your conversation. Something like that, right? He said something like that. And I just look at him. I look at him with this fucking angry ass child face, right? Because he just said all those bad things to my mom. Like, why could he do that? And so I don't, right? And I kind of like square up to him a bit. And obviously he didn't like that. And he shouted at me. He screamed at me. He pretty much just did the same thing to my mom to me. And I was like bawling, bro. I was like bawling my eyes out at this point because, obviously this was the first time I squared up to my father, because he was like this for pretty much most of my life, right? And I'm pretty sure the conversation did die down after that event, so I'm kind of glad I did do that. But anyways, that was one event of a toxic thing that happened in my life, of dealing with someone who is toxic, right? Obviously that wasn't the best way to do it, but that's just a story I had. There's also been several other cases with just dumb people, right? Like dumb bullies type of people in in high school and shit. Like one day, I was in social studies class, right? I was sitting in the back, and I was just had my headphones in, I had my my earphones in, right? This was back in 2017, so my first year in high school. I just had my headphones in, I was just listening to music while I was doing my work. Maybe I was playing games, who knows? but I had Apple earphones, like the wired ones, right? And this guy, this hood rat, this low life, like into drugs, into that gang type of stuff, this person, right? He sits up next to me. So he comes up next to me, and I'm getting a little scared. Like, why is he coming up to me? And he's like looking at me straight from the side, and I'm just kind of doing my own thing, right? But I'm kind of like sweating a little bit, because this guy, he's known for doing some bad stuff, right? He's a bad guy, and I just froze, right, while he's still just staring at me, and all of a sudden I see his hand from my peripheral vision, right? I see his hand coming towards my ear, and he grabs my head. He grabs one of my earphones out of my ear, then he grabs the other one, all while I'm still frozen there, not doing anything because I'm scared. I was a little bitch, right? He grabs my other earphones, he unplugs it from my fucking computer, bro. And he fucking steals it. And I'm pretty sure he like replaced it with his own headphones. Like he put his own earphones in my ear and plugged it back in for me. You know, that can be seen as an act of kindness, but honestly I think they were broken. Well, anyways, bro, I pretty much just froze during that whole thing, right? And he pretty much just stole from me, and yeah, I just didn't do anything because I was scared. And honestly, guys, when it comes to dealing with toxic people, there's a couple different ways, and there's a couple different people depending on what type of relationship you have with them, right? If it's your parents, that's a completely different issue. Because honestly, like, depending on how old you are, a lot of the time, like, if you don't want to disobey them, you kind of just have to do what they tell you, right? Even if it is really annoying. But when it comes to, you know, your future and stuff, when your career, honestly, it might be a good idea to disobey them, right? Like for me, for example, bro, my father, he doesn't even know that I'm doing YouTube and stuff. He thinks I'm currently studying at university, which I'm not. I lied to him. But sometimes you have to lie to your parents, because, you know, to secure your own future, because, I mean, frankly, they don't really understand everything that's going on in the modern world. That's just one example, right? But it's quite different with parents. If it's just your parents, you kind of just have to deal with it, right? Up until you can actually make decisions on your own. If you're old enough for that now, you absolutely can make decisions on your own, right? It's about communication at that point. But again, I know a lot of parents just don't want to communicate with you. They just are stuck in their own ways. They're stuck in their own head, right? That's my father, right? I know exactly what that's like. And for people like that, again, you can't really barter with them, bro. You can't really talk to them. I know exactly how that feels, right? You can't talk to them, bro. And again, it just comes down to doing what you need to do in your spare time, in your meantime, right? Well, and even if you lie to them, bro, that's all good, because again, it's for your own future. But again, if it's like more like fighting and stuff, again, they're not gonna listen. They're not gonna listen to you, bro. That's the sad truth. If it's your parents, they're just not gonna learn, unless you have some really, you know, good parents. Bro, my parents, I mean, my father, he wouldn't give a shit if I told him to stop shouting at my mom. He just wouldn't. He would do it the next day. So it's more about just working on the side, right? And kind of building yourself up so that you become a better person than your parents. However, bro, if it's someone else being toxic to you, not your parents, you know, if it's someone else at school, if it's someone that you know personally, this is what by far the best way of dealing with that person is simply by communicating, bro. Communication is the biggest asset you have to get you out of trouble. There's a reason why wars have been stopped simply by fucking talking, right? Communication is by far the most powerful thing we can do. But again, like I was explaining before, this depends on the type of relationship you have with the person. If it's like a bully, right, you just don't, you fucking hate them, frankly. There's a couple different ways you can deal with that toxicity. You can either, one, walk away. Honestly, this can work, this can not work. You know, they'll probably still do it again, if I'm being honest. You can, two, tell a teacher. Again, they'll probably still do it. Number three, you can confront them and actually, command respect for yourself. Because again, the way you speak is the way people perceive you. And if people perceive you as a little fucking weakling, you're just speaking out of your mouth like this, and you're not making eye contact, and what are they going to think of you? They're going to think of you as a little bitch, frankly, right? So communication can absolutely stop this bullying from happening. Or number four, bro, you actually can make a whole bunch of new friends. All right, this is really effective at stopping bullying. You can make a whole bunch of friends, and they actually protect you from the bullies, right? And again, this is gonna need social skills, but if you can make a whole bunch of people that you know, that you like, that respect you, that you respect them, then you got this entire friend group with you. They'll protect you, bro. They'll protect you, you'll protect them, and that's a whole lot better, right? That's with bullying though. However, what if it's with someone who you know personally, who, let's say, he's your friend, even your relationship, right? Toxicity in someone who you know more deeper. Again, guys, communication is key, right? Absolutely communicating is the key here, man. If you're having a disagreement with something, communication is the best way of dealing with anything, right? The worst thing you can do is hold your emotions in and let it all out at once, bro. That's the worst thing you can do. Communicate, bro. Please communicate with them. And even if they don't want to communicate, if they don't want to hear you out, if they don't want to, again, they just don't want to communicate, maybe it's best to rethink that relationship, because chances are you don't want to be friends with a person who's just mocking you 24/7. You don't want to be, in a relationship with someone who's talking down on you 24/7. That's a perfectly fine reason to leave, in my opinion, right? And communication is always the key, right? Just go up to them and have a chat. Just the basic body language rules. Eye contact. Eye contact's pretty much the big one, but it's mostly just eye contact and talking with confidence, right? You don't have to talk loudly, right? Just talk with confidence. Take your time with speaking. Take your time with thinking what you actually want to say and saying it. It's not hurting anyone. Well, it might, I don't know. But, this is the best thing you can do. I'm telling you right now, all of your problems with toxic people, all of your problems, well, maybe not with parents, but the rest of the people who are toxic with you will be simply stopped as long as you communicate effectively, right? This stops wars. Think about that for a second. This can stop your little argument any day of the week, alright? So, yeah, man. And in terms of, pretty much just in terms of communicating, bro, just speak with confidence. Speak with, I literally just explained this before, but speak with authority, right? And this is going to take practice. This is definitely going to take practice, so don't beat yourself up if you mess up your words, if you stutter, that's fine, right? If you can't hold eye contact for too long, that's fine, because you are trying. That's the main thing, right? You're trying and you actually want to be better. And that's fucking awesome, right? I'm super proud of you for trying. And I hope you take this advice to heart, okay? That's genuinely the best way to deal with toxic people, is just to effectively communicate what you want out of someone, right? That's pretty much all it is. You can get out of any fucking situation, I'm telling you. You can get out of any situation by knowing what to say and how to say it. Genuinely. So, man, I hope you take this advice to heart, because I know for a fact this would have helped me a lot in my high school years, just in general, right? This would have gotten me out of so many different sticky situations that I got myself into simply by just communicating better, alright? And if you want my one-to-one help with getting better at communicating, wanting to attract girls better, just becoming a much better, more attractive person, I've actually opened my one-to-one coaching spots. So I've only got like 2 or 3 spots max that I can take in, right? So that'll be the first link in the description below if you're interested in that. All good if not. My videos are free for you anyways, so that's fine, man. And yeah. Oh yeah, and one more thing, I've got a free dating ebook. If you want like a free dating blueprint, I've written up. It'll be the second link in the description below as well. So yeah, man. I hope you have a good one. Have a good night, have a good day, whatever it is for you. And don't forget to subscribe, alright? So have a good one. See ya.